Welcome back to another episode of F-Zero Ending It All. Last time, our heroes actually managed to win in the quarterfinals at Cosmo Terminal, as well as encountering the mighty Gazelle, who actually happens to be Roy Hughes, who is actually Clank Hughes' deceased father. And I would like to apologize, I didn't really show the clip on the last lap. So, without further ado, I might as well show it to you guys now. This is my first time using this, so hold on just 1 second. Alright, here we go.
Roy.
Hey, you're Captain Falcon.
I didn't know you were still working undercover.
I never met you. How could you know me?
Well. I'm disappointed in you, Roy. You had me completely fooled, but now I know you're a Galaxy Police spy.
Right now!
Run, Falcon! Go for help! I'll keep you!
Roy!
You're next, Captain Falcon. This is why you should never try to be a hero.
Go! Get out of here!
My transport!
Alright, did you guys see that? Pretty epic if you ask me. Anyway, that's how that scene came to be. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show, shall we? Alright, lap 13. Everyone couldn't stop thinking about the next F-Zero race. Alongside other racers who made it this far, the pilots in the task force in Dark Million had those that made it to the semifinals. The next featured challenge would be at the heart of Tortoise 3. It was said to be home to one of the most nefarious courses in the galaxy, Deathwind. According to Tinsel, who was well acquainted with it, Deathwind was a lethal circuit that is always smack dab in a strong windstorm blowing eastward. which could go up to speeds that could exceed 100 miles per hour. Pilots weren't affected if they were to hit a dash plate or the pit area, fortunately. But because they were scarce, those conditions made it very tedious, even for the most experienced drivers, as they'd always been tossed around like rag dolls while they trekked through the harsh terrain. She only experienced it once 13 years ago during the Night League, though she missed the second track that was part of the King League. From the announcement on a television at the Falcon House, Rick, Tinsel, Bert, and Clank heard the bulletin on who will participate in Knock on Death's Door. Aside from the first two, one of them was a green alien who had an enormous infamy on being a talented assassin. He went by the name of Pico, whom she and Rick knew in the past. Pico was one of the most aggressive racers in the original F-Zero. Of course, there's also Samurai Goroh. That gave Rick an idea. She saw his brows go up. You're not thinking what I'm thinking, are you? Hmm? If you're planning to recruit Samurai Goroh, then you're just crazy. Don't you know what he did to Dragon Roger? He almost killed us if it wasn't for Falcon. Tinsel recalled the events at Red Canyon, sabotage, the capture of her and her comrades, and the sudden appearance of the bounty hunter. Then there was the fatal race in which she, Falcon, and Leon won. They were able to retrieve the mighty Hurricane and Typhoon in one piece. They escaped just as the thieves' vehicles blew up. This is insane, Rick! I never trusted this guy. What would Falcon feel about this? And he said he never kills? What about the time he almost sliced us into ribbons? Or those kids that were sick? If it wasn't for you, they would have all died. And he says he never kills? Clank was taken aback by her outbursts. Calm down, Tinsel. Goroh could help us win if he can match Pico's skills. You said so yourself that they were both veterans and are really tough on the tracks way back. So we could use his experience to give us the edge. Almost like an ally to him. I know what I'm doing. I'm not so sure about this. But I'm not going just yet. I want to train you on using the special technique Falcon taught me, the booster fire. Rick, are you sure? I'm positive, Tinsel. You'll need all the practice you can get. We still have a few days left. The patrons then heard a yelp coming from Mr. Zero as he was introducing Pico. He claims that his favorite food was steak dripping with blood. The Comet pilot commented, no wonder he gets into a lot of road rage and has a thirst for violence. Do you know it has a lot of toxoplasma in it? What's that? It's a parasitic chemical that settles in your brain after a few weeks on consuming it. It's known to make eaters have a more aggressive behavior because of the effect by it. She's right, you know. That's why I always make sure my meats are medium to well done. I don't allow rare meats here. It's how we get many troublemakers on the road. Huh. See, I didn't know it could do that, Bert. I'll make sure I stay away from rare meat. Unless you can count cold cuts. I don't want that to happen to me. Good boy, Clank. Where's Gazelle? He should be here any minute. He's just testing out his machine at the old Mute City courts. He was mostly employed as a janitor for the Falcon House, but he worked with the task force from time to time. Just then the mighty Gazelle marched into the diner. Hey, look who's here! Bert, I'd like you to meet the mighty Gazelle. He's a very cool F-Zero racer, and he appears to be my own man. Ha ha ha! Good for you, Clank. I'm quite glad now that you finally found your father. Dad? Hey, are you having a short circuit or what? He never budged, but his eyes gleamed as he kept facing Bert. He identified the data, and it was not what he expected. It was the same person, but it was a different name. Andy Summer, confirmed. None of them could even breathe. I think you got some screws loose, Dad. That can't be Andy. He's Bert Lemming. Bert and Andy are the same men. The former is his alias. He was once a member belonging to the Galaxy Police. What? Is he really? You mean Bert is Jody's own brother? It's true. Gazelle couldn't be more right. That means you were the one who saved Jody from Zoda! Rick had a flashback when she revealed what happened during the shootout in Mute City. There was a huge explosion as he covered her sis with his body. After that, she had most of her body replaced with mechanical parts. You survived the attack several years ago. How was that possible? He'd never been this stunned since he found out he had 150 years sleep. Damn it. Then there was a pause that stretched on for a few moments. Bert? I should have known Roy would recognize me. The secret had been unveiled. Much like him, he was rumored to be dead, so he went by the alias of Bert Lemming. He never wanted to go back to being an officer of the Galaxy Police after he was shot. Never thought once he would stay alive, and he sometimes worries of his sister's fate. Just like Rick, Tinsel, and Roy, even he was scarred for life. With some bone and organ replacements, especially his legs, he eventually started a new life and identity. He figured he wasn't mobile or fit enough, so he wanted to build and run the Falcon House dedicated to his favorite pilot, Captain Falcon. His career as an F-Zero racer, bounty hunter, and hero was really an inspiration to him. He tried his hands on the sport once, but of course he lost interest as he lost control. Much like Tinsel, even he gave him a second shot, a drive to keep on living. The rest was just history from here. No way! Can't believe your old friend was able to recognize you after all these years. A former member of the Galaxy Platoon who a former member of the Galaxy Platoon lost all his bodily functions. Then, after being honorably discharged, started his second chance as the head of a place inspired by Captain Falcon. He became the driving force of his life. It's absolutely incredible. Wonder what Jody would think about all this once we get her back. That's the ticket, Rick. When you come across my sister, you have my permission to do so. I hope it'll be able to make her snap out of the thrall Black Shadow has on her. We will. We promise. However, no one must know. Promise me this. Cross my heart. You bet, Andy, said, calling by his second name was fine. That goes for you too, Dad. Affirmative. Somewhere near headquarters, Rick had told Tinsel she housed a reactor mate inside the comet. It was originally pointed out by Captain Falcon and he wanted to train her. She was worried since he just learned the booster fire himself, although he's confident she will too as long as he's her personal tutor, while the champion is still recovering from EAD's onslaught. Thanks to the spare parts from the Big Fang, Lucy, EAD, and Gazelle had actually made an advancement on the comet, although its stats had been reversed. It still has the maximum acceleration, but instead the craft had a slightly stronger body, while also a downgrade on its grip, which was good considering she was having some trouble with the enhancements, as well as her handling while the safety features had been turned off. Rick walked her through the process in the Dragonbird as they were cruising through the task force's training circuit, the traditional park, and he guided her whenever she was slipping. Then, by the next few laps, it was time. Tinsel listened in on how to utilize the nitrous while using a spin attack. Rick pulled back the nozzle as she saw his dashboard glowing. Then his machine rotated in a very rapid fashion as it was being engulfed by its flames. She was surprised they weren't burning the Dragonbird's exterior. She did see him zoom away as far as the eye could see. It only lasted for less than a minute when the car returned to normal. Rick allowed her to catch up. That was... I hardly even saw you. You were so far away when the transformation finished. The booster fire causes your machine to shoot past your opponents like a rocket, breaking the sound barrier. It's extremely fast, but also dangerous. You'd best go to a straightaway and make sure there won't be any obstacles in your path. Let's do this when we reach the finish line. Before they hovered over it side by side, Rick encouraged her. Now, Tinsel, get ready! Use everything I've shown you since you only have one chance. There's only a single reactor might, so use it well. Do not be afraid. Go for it! She was more determined than ever. It was almost like his words have struck a chord. She nodded and pulled back the handle. She pressed the button to do spin attack while she stepped on the gas as hard as she could. Now the comet looked as if it was sparkling just like the celestial body itself. Booster! Fire! It spun in an icy light blue hue. Gravitational pull caused her to slump against her seat as she held on to the handles for dear life. Everything around her began to swirl so quickly that her eyes couldn't keep up the critical velocity. Whoa! I'm getting dizzy! The dragon bird saw the comet swerve a few times. He was surprised she never crashed, unlike him. He boosted more to observe the flaring comet. How do I stop this thing? Her jaw was barely moving as she screamed. By the time the course curved to the right, the phenomenal spectacle ended, almost like the vehicle busted through as the tiny ice particles scattered. The comet slowed down gradually and Tinsel's head swam like crazy. It almost felt like it was about to fall off her shoulders. She hardly moved as she succumbed to all that weight and speed. Her arms dropped to her lap and she collapsed onto the motherboard. Rick ran to her machine and surprisingly, there wasn't any damage to the outer shell. He used the grappling hook and pulled the comet back into the garage. He asked if he could borrow the master key from Lucy to unlock it and unload the comatose pilot. He couldn't turn away from her as he was so anxious to treat her wounds. He thought Rodney might give him some help. Several hours later, she eventually came to. Her best friend was by her side. She was resting in a comfy bed and the room was almost completely dark. He kept encouraging her to wake up. Her vision was very blurry, but at least she saw him from the dim lighting. Hey, you alright? You just achieved the booster fire. Oh, what happened? Did I crash? The room was still spinning as she groaned. She could hardly keep her eyes open. No, you didn't. You made it. I was there right beside you. I'm surprised you did it without crashing. You're very lucky. Why do I have such a headache? Maybe the shock of the booster fire was too much for you. Don't worry. With me and Falcon by your side, you'll get used to it eventually. I hope so. She dozed off, yet she was still holding the right side of her forehead just above her eye. Then Rick gently removed her hand. It began to feel worse and she squeezed her eyes shut, then numb after he slowly leaned over and kissed that spot. She opened her eyes. Rick. She gazed into his eyes. He did the same until their faces neared. Wait. I've never kissed anyone before. Time to have your second lesson. Just follow my lead. Finally their lips touched. They closed their eyes and it was such a warm, welcoming sensation for both of them. It was as if time had stopped as they slowly absorbed every touch and movement. It seemed like an eternity. They separated and looked at each other again. Tinsel's vision went hazy. Rick brought an assuring hand to her cheek, caressing it. You'll be okay, Tinsel. Stay strong. It's my head, Rick. I think you should rest. I'll be beside you when you wake up. You mean you'll wait for me? Of course. Try not to overexert yourself so much. You need to recover. I'm sure Rodney will be here shortly. Good night, Tinsel. Good night, Rick. How is she? She's very tired. She said she's suffering from a headache. The booster fire must have taken its toll. He wondered if Falcon would recuperate soon. They only had a few days to go. Then there was something Rick never felt before. His body began to heat up from within, and the thermal energy was crawling toward his palm. He hardly noticed it began to illuminate a light orange shade. It felt so warm. He laid it on Tinsel's throbbing skull. He touched her, and she let out another sigh as she absorbed the healing energy. Oh, it was almost like the sun's purifying rays, perhaps like the regenerating flames from the phoenix as she began to feel better. Rodney was taking out some pills from his medical kit until he looked at Rick in a perplexing manner. How was that even possible? A few seconds later, his hand cooled as it returned to normal. He looked at it in awe. He couldn't believe what he just did. Figured it was due to the reactor mites they possessed. They somehow made a chain reaction to each other after the training session, as if there'd be some kind of connection between them, like neurons. Rick, how were you able to do that? He never really had an answer. I didn't think I could. Elsewhere, two female onlookers witnessed the occurrence. Through a pair of infrared binoculars, she gazed at Rick, still a statue, watching Tinsel. The Silver Comet has the missing reactor mite. We have finally found it. We must report this to Black Shadow, Miss Killer said. He will be pleased. The universe must fall. It would soon be ours. The next day, he stopped by Rodney's place and met Tinsel again. He woke her up. Her sight cleared almost instantly as she saw him. Rick! It's so good to see you. Likewise. How are you feeling? A little better. I think my head is clearing up, but I still feel so groggy. It'll go in time. Listen, I'm actually heading to Planet Crichton now. I'm going to ask and see if Goroh can help us. Rick, I told you, I can't trust him. How do we know he really is going to help us, and why? I can't understand. What do you see in him that I don't? What is it that you have in common? That I'm not sure. What I am sure of is that he's our only hope to win against Pico and Tanaka. His fire stingray is very durable. This could put us in an advantage. I tried to convince her otherwise, but it wasn't helping. Rick, please return safely. I don't want you to give up your machine or your life to the likes of him. I'll return soon. You have my word. Just keep resting. He laid a hand on her cheek for assurance, and then he was off. He then alerted his friends in the task force. If anything should go awry, we're gonna know about it. Rick met Goroh at the old saloon where they first met. The Japanese warrior reluctantly disagreed since Falcon would be in the same race. Rick convinced him that if he misses out, he would be forfeited, and he desperately needed his help in order to put a stop to Pico since they were old rivals. Goroh recalled how the Wild Goose was so aggressive during the original Grand Prix, and how he occasionally saw him in other races. The Wild Goose, in conjunction to Deathwind and a member of the task force, can destroy us all. He accepted Rick's offer since he likes him. Why are you so willing to help me? We may have something in common, you and I. Meanwhile, Falcon taught Tinsel how to use the booster fire. She wanted to do it herself, but Leon thought she was crazy after she passed out last time. Bounty Hunter assured her that she'll get used to it. She must master it in order for them to win. Plus, the race was tomorrow. The last lap, both she and Falcon did it together. He urged her to fight back her sickness and focus on the track. By the time it ended, she managed to catch her breath, and he said to use it when the time is right. He'll see her at the race, but he must see Rick personally at Port Town. He summoned the flare and he departed. She heard a machine's engines and told Rick what transpired. He did the same. That actually convinced Falcon and Tinsel and Goroh's help as well. They keep a keen eye on him. Are you sure we can trust Goroh? I can. On that night, he trained with Falcon one last time in Port Town. He led his best friends Tinsel and Jack to Falcon's fortress late that evening. Met him waiting outside the entrance. Scanner went over his face and unlocked the garage. Looks like nothing's changed. It's been a year since I was here. What? You knew all about this, and you didn't even tell us about it? She kept this as a secret for a reason, Jack. He needs the solitude. Bounty Hunter motioned him to come along. You two stay here. I have to train with Falcon. He's been expecting me. Good luck. You're gonna need it, Wheeler. He smiled and gave a thumbs up before he headed inside the blinding white chamber. As soon as the door closed, he exhaled. All right, Falcon, what is so important that you have to show me? Through another simulation, Rick startlingly looked around, realizing the trippy background he saw earlier when he touched the championship belt. Neon blue track emerged at their feet, and it was refracting light from the sinister arena. There were some guardrails, but they were very thin. It was almost like Rainbow Road, but there weren't any beautiful colors here. What? Where am I all of a sudden? Captain gave Rick the final challenge, a simulation of the Phantom Road. After he defeated the creator spirits there, that was when he obtained the data for it. Safety features absolutely needed to be turned off for this. In addition, he promised that if Rick is able to defeat him, it'll be official. He'll be the next Falcon. It's on like Donkey Kong. Give me the best you got, champion. I'll still beat you like I did before. Let's go! With its sharp turns and since it had very thin guardrails, the Blue Falcon had no trouble. However, the Dragon Bird was slipping at times. He was compassionate enough to enable a UFO if he was unfortunate to actually fall off. He had such a difficult time to keep up the unstoppable Grand Prix champion until he finally did after 2 irritating laps. Before the last stretch, Falcon was ahead of him and activated the booster fire. Rick then followed suit. By the time the ordeal ended, he was so stupefied that he hardly saw the fortress transform back into its normal state. He nearly felt as if he woke up from an excruciatingly frightening nightmare. This whole course was definitely one that was so surreal. You have done well, Rick, my disciple. It's now up to you to decide your own destiny. I won? Former champion took off his helmet and revealed short, dark brown hair, thick tannish skin, opal-colored eyes, and a scar through the left eye. My real name is Douglas J. Falcon. I was the captain turned bounty hunter of the Internova Police. It was my duty to uphold peace and justice throughout the universe. It still is today. Now, offering my legacy to you. No, I refuse the offer. I can't accept your helmet or your legendary reputation. Just because I won your last race, I can only be your friend and your successor. That's all that I'm willing to give. Sounds good to me. Ditto. What? What? You're giving Wheeler everything? I thought you said you were never going to retire. You made that clear to Mr. Zero in an interview once. Indeed I have, but the truth is, I can't go on forever, and I really do not want to try. Ever since Black Shadow returned, I knew my time would come. We may cheat our fate, but we cannot escape it. So, who can I trust if the unthinkable should happen to me? I couldn't just pick any racer who will take my stead. And that's what I decided to tell Jody and Stewart, that I need a follower. Someone that'll carry the mantle and responsibility. Someone who I can tell all my secrets. Rick made it official tonight. He is the one. Falcon. I don't know what to say. I still have work alongside the task force. They need me. I'm not sure if I'm ready. That time will come, soon enough. Falcon must have known that his death would be a fate that couldn't be avoided. And knowing that, he still gave you the last of his teachings, his identity, his secrets? Why? It was hope, so that part of him will remain after he'll be gone. He just understood his mortality. He never wanted to show his fears, his anxieties to anyone. He was looking for someone to take his place because he knew ever since Black Shadow returned, we can't live forever, even if we were to sleep for another 150 years. He can't settle down. He's so restless and earnest. The least he could do was pass the torch to me. He gazed at the old gold etching of the falcon in his palm. This was actually the emblem he earned as the head of the Internova police force. Falcon, I will succeed you. I know my course now. I must finish what you have started, and I will assist you to defeat Black Shadow. I swear it. On the day of the big race, Clank analyzed the data for Pico and the Wild Goose. All three stats were arranged just as they were in the alphabet, making it the most volatile and versatile machine out there. Pico's homeworld was Tortoise 3, as Tinsel pointed out. Torn by war and mutation, it's always its own general from the special unit of the Poly-Poto military. Sent his machine for using commands of the unit. When General retired, the Wild Goose's military history was recognized and was adapted for racing. The soldier designed the Wild Goose was a member of the strong, fighting, spirited Polypoto tribe of Deathwind. It is able to withstand heavy damage and was made to perform attack runs, thus making it suitable for Pico's aggressive driving nature. However, its weak acceleration and below average drifting abilities in corners are a bit disconcerting. Because of the inclement weather, there wasn't a stadium nor stands. There were only a few cameras and very tall, sturdy tripods. One from a blimp overhead to monitor the race. It's dangerous since the Polypedo army may be around with its murderous general. This was Pico's and Tanaka's opportunity to incapacitate the racers and obtain the reactor mites. Clank and Bert were watching from the Falcon House while Lucy, EAD, Leon, and Kate were cheering at headquarters. They hoped the enhancements for the Big Fang would pay off for the volatile match. Rick recognized the machine as each racer pulled up into the starting gates which held their cars snug until the signal. Tinsel was nervous, recalling the unforgiving circuit and that their opponents are there. It's the Horrid Hornet! I've seen it back in Dark Star. It's a revamped version of the Wonder Wasp. It's been altered into the Hornet. It was labeled as such with very bold lettering. The lines in the vehicle were shaded black, the exterior was a mixture of ash blonde, mahogany, and titian. And then gliders were pointed like its own lethal stingers. Tanaka's uniform also matched the machine. He had a jumpsuit that was a dark color, cider color, and had huge black lines. Gloves looked similar, as were shoes. Stats were changed with a slight improvement on both the body and grip because the components were BAB. It's likely that Pico would have the upper hand as he worked alongside the dreaded Hitman. He doesn't race very often, though. True, but he could still be a formidable enemy, especially with what Black Shadow did to him. Our main focus is surviving this circuit. Even I know how tumultuous this is. You hear that, guys? Roger. Copy that. You bet. We're gonna do some clobbering. Affirmative. Welcome, racing fans, one and all, to the dangerous Deathwind track. Semifinals is about to get underway. No one who dared to lose has ever gotten this far. The top 6 pilots that qualify will advance to the finals. Race was on. Due to the strong gusts on the track, along with the minefields and strict turns, some of the machines lost control and crashed all over. Dashes were nearly impossible to make, but like Tinsel stated, it provided temporary relief from the storm. So did the short pit area. The first lap was about survival, but by the second lap it was all about desperation, as each pilot fought viciously on taking the winner's circle. Hornet made its move on the Comet, making Tinsel jump. However, she was surprised that she took lesser damage than usual. She figured it was from the enhancements by the Big Fang's spare parts. She tacked back and the creepy-looking contraption sent it crashing to the walls. Gazelle was the first to be wiped out. Aw, Dad! Come on, guys, crush that bug! The others were swarming like flies thanks to the Hornet's rampage with Pico, Miss Killer, and the harsh environment. Mighty Typhoon was down and out, as was the Robin. It's up to you now, Ricky. Don't worry, Jack and Drac. We got your back. At the final lap, Falcon, Rick, and Tinsel were lagging behind. Rick Wheeler, Captain Falcon, and Tinsel Steelus are beside each other, while Tanaka and Pico are still in the lead. What are they scheming? Falcon decided for all three to use the booster fire to stay ahead and prevent Pico and Tanaka from winning. They had to be neck to neck so they can sandwich their machines, with a comet in the center. Goroh was always struggling with the two. Chris and Gomer and Shio were low on power. Miss Killer saw the triple booster fire head and did the moon fire. They couldn't lose the formation and they plowed through the leading pilots. Look out! Ah! The goose spun out of control and practically exploded, while at the same time the fire stingrays nearly obliterated. Sorry, Goroh! Tanaka actually tapped into the moon shadow as it was closing in on Rick. He was able to lessen the ignition, yet... Watch out, Rick! Falcon warned as it nudged the Dragon Bird. The collision resulted in an accident involving the Hornet. Fortunately, the storm was ending as the race did. When they crossed the line, the spectacle ended. The top six were Falcon, Rick, Tinsel, Miss Killer, Goroh, and Gomar and Shio, who maneuvered around the freak accident cooperatively. The dragon turned back and the machines followed him to the wreckage. It's Tanaka! He's badly hurt! Where's Pico? Falcon, where are you going? He was able to pull Goroh from the wreckage, though Pico wasn't so lucky. Why did you do it, Falcon? Goroh was your greatest rival. He's my rival, Rick, not my enemy. There is a difference. I thought you wouldn't miss the chance for him to be destroyed. That would be dishonorable. Letting someone die, I would be no different than Black Shadow. Rick and Tinsley had a good point, but she wasn't really convinced. Goroh was able to keep Pico busy for us, right? We took him out, so the least we could do was return the favor. Maybe, but that means he would still go after you. What could be worth the risk? Let it go, Tinsel. The deed is done. You're just gonna let him walk away? It's what he wants, isn't it, Falcon? Falcon, wait! Meet me at Port Town. You know where to go. I'll be waiting. The paramedics arrived with sirens wailing and Rick and Tinsel met Jack, Gazelle, Drac, and Gomer and Shio. They told them to bring Tanaka to Mute City where Rodney was, so he could receive the formula to restore his mind. Will do. Follow us. Blue Falcon jumped off the track and Pico was flown back a few feet. For a second, she could have sworn his fist glowed as the wind was knocked out of him. EMTs took away Tanaka and towed the Hornet. Both Rick and Tinsel actually forgot to bring the syringes. They were preoccupied with the semifinals. Cakes were disappointed that Luna beat them. She would be at the finals. Tinsel called for Rodney, but she had to leave a message. Rodney? Are you there? Hello? Look, we won the race, but we forgot to bring the formula with us. Tanaka is being transported to Earth now. So, I want you to, have it ready, will ya? Little did she know Black Shadow listened on the whole thing. Can the comet come out to play? Where is he? She paid attention to his threats. There was an ultimatum. He won't be harmed if they lose the finals and give Dark Million the remaining reactor mites. Then she immediately ended the reception and cried to Rick they must hurry back to Mute City. At Rodney's office, he was held hostage by the trio, Black Shadow, Jody, and his old man. She was wearing a black jumpsuit instead of the usual white one, but it had red lines. She also donned on the same sneakers Rick once wore with the protruding horns. Stuart had on a doctor's robe shrouded in darkness. It's time to have a taste of your own medicine. Father, that's your medicine. You made this. Stuart injected it into his upper neck. Dad. But Why? Mad Dog drooped the gizmo on the hard tile floor, and sensing something, Black Shadow teleported. By the time the duo returned, it was too late. They found themselves in a demolished hospital. The test tubes were broken and leaking. The robots were out of commission. And the only clue left was a shattered syringe laying on the floor. Tinsel knew who it belonged to, then sunk to her knees. This is our fault. If we would have brought the formula with us. This isn't the time for self-pity. We must rescue Rodney, but the Dark Star could be almost anywhere. Black Shadow doesn't stay around for very long. Their only chance to win is in the finals, but without the formula, as the two saddened pilots feared, they can't bring Stewart, Jody, or Tanaka back. The captain said the flyer could track Dark Million, but it won't be an easy feat. Falcon's right. We need to accomplish the last race. In lightning. Lightning? But about Rodney. Hearts were heavy on the young medico's fate, thinking what Black Shadow or Dr. Stewart would do to him. Of course, the original game is only one in a series that features Deathwind, loosely based from the King League with some added bonuses. Turns are more sharper, there were a couple more mines. The only difference is it doesn't have those annoying exploding cars, nor the orange ones. The Wild Goose still remains to be my favorite machine, and the Blue Falcon is very balanced. I can understand why people would often use the Fire Stingray. Even when it comes to the original. It works wonders, does great endurance and high speed, its gripping needs some work, but I'd see why it's a decent machine, which is why I decided to use it as an advantage against Pico. I'm a melissophobic, by the way. Fake ones I don't have a problem with and never get stung. However, I heard of many who were unfortunate, and whenever I saw or hear a wasp or something similar, I just freeze or run away as fast as possible. Considering that Tanaka's machine's the Wonder Wasp, I really want to take the alteration as sinister as it possibly could. Final challenge is in Phantom Mode from GX's Story Mode's finale. Keep in mind that Captain Falcon's taking his name from the games. Burt Lemming is the alias of Jody's Andy Summer. Toxoplasma can cause road rage, killing and destruction. Want things well done is black as a puck, well actually medium now. Little did I know that Cruel Planet was also on Tortoise 3. First I wasn't sure what planet the tour course was on, thought it could be on Planet White, but I guess I have to fix everything. It's one of the things about this series is its inconsistency. Like Pico's age is 123, then 124. Although he was 34 in the first F-Zero game, that doesn't really add up. Regardless, after a month in hiatus, lap is at last complete. Should thank my collaborators on it. Life just always gets in the way, so Rick and company advanced to the finals, and Black Shadow demanded on Rodney's fate. His life with the reactor lights on and losing at lightning. With Stewart and Jody still influenced, will he and the galaxy be doomed? Well, find out in the championship. Until then, this is the Ecron Writers signing out. So, take care everyone.